הקדוש ברוך הוא. שלום עליכם מלאכי השרת, מלאכי עליון ממלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. שלום עליכם מלאכי השרת, הקדוש ברוך הוא. ברכוני לשלום מלאכי השלום, מלאכי עליון ממלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. שלום עליכם מלאכי השרת, מלאכי עליון ממלך מלכי המלכים, מלאכי עליון ממלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. צאתכם לשלום מלאכי השלום, מלאכי עליון ממלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. שלום עליכם מלאכי השרת, מלאכי
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
No matter what kind of week I've had, that opening song always puts me in the right place to welcome Shabbat. I'm Rabbi Sarah Berman, and I am delighted to be joining on the Bima. Well, physically on the Bima is Cantor Dan Mutlu, as well as our cantorial intern and almost cantor, Jenna McMillan, and my colleagues, Rabbi Dan Ross and rabbinic intern Chelsea Fuchs. There's a whole lot of us, and we are all delighted to welcome you to Shabbat services. And we're welcoming friends back into our sanctuary, longtime friends, new friends, and even tonight, visiting friends for the first time in so long. It is our pleasure to welcome Sharon Brown and her group of 8th and 9th graders visiting from Temple Israel of Long Beach, California. Hi, guys. And Rabbi Jill Crimmings with the confirmation class from Bet Shalom congregation in Minnetonka, Minnesota. And let's welcome all of our friends joining virtually on all of our live streaming platforms. And as we wave, let's also wave to our amazing shamashim back there, our greeters, and our tech team, and our facilities and events teams who keep these services running smoothly. As we wave, don't put those hands down yet. Let's wave at our incredible musicians, including Dave Strickland and everybody else who makes this experience sonorous and magical. And out of respect for those musicians and for these clergy people and for everyone gathered here and virtually, if you have a cell phone or another device that makes any kind of noise, I invite you to take it out right now, make sure it is silent or off, and then put it away for the rest of the service because the only things that you need are right here. I said before, it really is the music that takes me out of the everyday, out of Chol Yom, and brings me into the magic and the majesty and the holiness of Shabbat. For some of you, it might be the words of our prayers that do that. Or maybe the warming light of the Shabbat candles, or even the sweetness of the Shabbat wine or juice. For others, it might just be walking into or seeing this magnificent space. What is it that takes you out of your everyday and places you into the magic of Shabbat. Whatever it is, I hope you find it with us here tonight. Tonight we are all connected or interconnected as a great web of prayer and experience and space that ties us together as a community. And so as a community, we raise our voices to call out and welcome to one another, to Shabbat itself, and to the divine. Please join us in raising your voice as we continue with our candle blessings on page 2. And it is my pleasure to welcome Ed and Cantor Suzanne Skloot to light our Shabbat candles. Continue with our Psalms, welcoming Shabbat, page 4 on your order of service, Lechu Neranena.
Lechu Neranena l'Adonai, Nariya letzor. Sing unto God, the maker of all, sure and strong. Let all of creation from mountain to sea hear our song. Listen with all of our hearts to hear God's voice.
Songs and praise continue again on the order of service. Hariyu. throughout our service tonight, we will invite you to rise at various moments. And this is an invitation to join with the entire global Central community in whatever way best fits your body. We sing verses 1, 2, 5, and 9. But before we sing verse 9, we will invite you to rise in body or in spirit and turn to face the entrance of the room that you are in, greeting and making welcome Shabbat as she enters. Lecha Dodi is page 20.
Lecha Dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nekabela Lecha Dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nekabela Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad hishmi'anu el hamiuchad Adonai echad u'shemo echad l'shem u'tiferet v'ritila lecha Dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nekabela lecha Dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nekabela
לקראת שבת, לכו ונלכה, כי מקור הברכה בראש מקדם נסוכה. סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה, יללה לך דודי, לקראת כלה penei Shabbat nekabela lecha Dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nekabela
התעוררי כי בורך קומי אורי 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 שתדברי כבוד אדוני עלייך ניגע לך דודי לקראת כלה penei Shabbat nekabela lecha Dodi לקראת כלה penei Shabbat nekabela
בואי ושלום, עטרת מעלה, גם בשמחה ובצולה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה. בואי חלה, בואי חלה.
Remaining standing, we call ourselves to prayer, page 146.
Ya la 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 la, 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 ya la 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 la. Barechu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed, le'olam va'ed. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la la la, ya la 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 la, ya la la la, ya la la
Please be seated. We continue together in the Hebrew on page 147. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim, b'chochma poteach she'arim, uvidvuna mishane itim, umachalif et hazmanim, umisader et hakochavim, b'mishmerotehem barakia kirtzono. Borei yom v'layla, golel or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or.
Umhavir yom umevi laila, umavdil ben yom uven laila, Adonai tzvaot shemo, El chai v'kayam, tamid imlochaleinu le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai, Hamariv Aravim.
Page 148 in English. We read responsively. In each age, we receive and transmit Torah. At each moment, we are addressed by the world. In each age, we are challenged by our ancient teaching. At each moment, we stand face to face with truth. In each age, we add our wisdom to that which has gone before. At each moment, the knowing heart is filled with wonder.
In each age, the children of Torah become its builders and seek to set the world firm on a foundation of truth.
Baruch atah Adonai,
Shemo,
Ohev Amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto le'olam va'ed. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levacha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha, ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher Elohim etzavecha hayom al levavecha, v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam, v'shivtecha b'betecha u'lechtecha b'derech u'shokbecha u'vkumecha וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם אלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Music brings us into the places that we sometimes struggle to find. Freedom, wide open spaces. Those can be hard to find, just as they were for our ancient ancestors. Whatever melody we use, Micha Mocha seeks to bring us out of the narrow and into the wide. When our voices come together, something truly magical happens, something transcendent, something holy. When we speak and sing together, we answer our own prayers. In need of comfort and strength, we gain those very things by praying together. So while we ask for God's protection, let us also protect each other in the Sukkot Shalom, the canopy of peace that we create as we sing together the words of Hashkivenu. Page 153.
Baruch atah Adonai, haporei Sukkot Shalom, Shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael. Baruch atah
We turn to page 155. Please rise.
Adonai Sifatai Tiftach Ufi Agid Tehilatecha Adonai Sifatai Tiftach Ufi Agid Tehilatecha Adonai, open my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Oh, Adonai, open my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Adonai Sifatai Tiftach Ufi Agid Tehilatecha Adonai Sifatai Tiftach Ufi Agid Tehilatecha
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim, v'Konei Hakol, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה, מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן. ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי מתים, אתה רב להושיע. משיב הרוח ומוליך הגשם, מחכה חיים בחסד, מחיי מתים ברחמים רבים, צורך נופים ורופך אוהלים, ומתיר עצורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בגבורות ומדום מלך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה לחיות מתים. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי המתים. אתה קדוש לשמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יעלוך סלע. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
We continue silently, seated or standing according to your custom.
This week's Torah portion has in it words that have been used in our liturgy for generations. We're singing tonight one of those texts from Ki Tisa, V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, and the people of Israel kept Shabbat just like we are all doing right here, right now. V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, v'shameru la'asot et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam berit olam. V'shameru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, v'shameru la'asot et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam berit olam.
B'nei Ruven b'nei Yisrael oti le'olam, ki sheshet yamim asa את השמיים ואת הארץ ושמרו
בני ישראל את השבת ושמרו לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש, שבת ויהי נפש, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, ושמרו לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם, ברית עולם.
This week's Torah portion includes instructions on how to make oil and incense for use in the Mishkan. To ensure that these items remain special, separate, holy, the Israelites are threatened that anyone who replicates them for personal use outside of the Mishkan will be cut off from their people, nichrat me'amav. There are few things scarier than being cut off from others. Yet so many loved ones in physical, mental, and spiritual pain experience a sense of separation. With our Misha Berach prayer, we reach out to those who may be feeling isolated, letting them know that they are not alone in their suffering, that they are in our prayers, in our minds, and on our hearts. At this time, the Central community thinks especially of these dear ones: Kathy Barron, Eileen Berger, Yitzhak Isaac Ben Gussie, Simcha Ben Sarah, Amy Bloom, Donald Brief, Grayson Skylar Bloom, Jerry Calderon, Lou Chen, Lois Conway, Joel Dutch, Alyssa Eisen, Elliot Fishbane, Corey Flaum, Jerry Friedman, Jim Flynn, Ziggy Galit, Michael Grunebaum, Ed Herbst, Buddy Hirsch, Howard Hochberg, Karen Koppel-Kaunitz, Melissa Kaufman, Arlene Klein, Sherry Koss, Kendall March, Cordelia Miras. Nope. Just a second. Here we go. Brahida Perez Prado, Kurt Pliskin, Marty Reingold, Ed Rice, Sandy Shepper, Joe Septimus, Michael Simon, Candace Smilo, Bill Smith, Jacob Stutchiner, and Mona Wolpe. If there's anyone who is on your mind who's in need of healing, I invite you to share their names with us as we sing and pray our Misha Berach prayer.
Sheberach avotenu mikor habracha leimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misheberach imotenu mikor habracha leavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shelema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say,
We seek connection with others not only in times of pain, but also in times of joy. So if any of the following statements are true for you, I invite you to rise so that we can increase that joyful feeling through communal celebration. If you had a birthday this past week, or if you will have one in the week to come, I invite you to rise in body or in spirit, and happy birthday to you. If you marked an anniversary or other relationship milestone this past week, or you will in the week to come, I invite you to rise. If you welcomed someone new into your family, whether through marriage, birth, adoption, or any other means, I invite you to rise. If this is your first time at Central Synagogue, maybe you're in from out of town, I invite you to rise and we say, welcome, we're so happy to have you here. This is amazing. Oh, that's so wonderful. And we give a wave, just like we did at the beginning. We're a very friendly group here. And lastly, if you are just happy to welcome in Shabbat here with this community, I invite you to rise as we sing together the Shehechianu blessing.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, shehechianu v'kibanu v'higiyanu b'zman hazeh. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, shehechianu v'kibanu v'higiyanu b'zman hazeh.
And please remain standing as we give honor to the Torah.
Hallelujah. hallelujah, 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 hallelujah.
Please be seated. Out of practice having a Torah up here, so it's okay. Don't worry about it. So here we are again with the Torah. And actually, it's fitting that we have a Torah right here because the public reading of Torah has been a central feature of Jewish worship since there have been Jews. But this ritual has almost always had a fundamental flaw. Namely, that the Torah is written in Hebrew. Now, I know what many of you are thinking. Hebrew is the holy tongue of the Jewish people. Today, it's a modern language spoken by millions. So you're telling me that 2,000 years ago, when they read Torah in synagogue, the congregation had no idea what the Torah reader was chanting? Yes, that's exactly what I'm telling you. And we know that this is true because we read about it in the Talmud. The Talmud tells us that in ancient times, when the Torah was read at services, next to the Torah reader would be a curious character called the Meturgaman. And the job of the Meturgaman was to translate the Torah reading into the vernacular, which at the time was Aramaic. Now, eventually, this practice fell out of favor. Obviously, as much fun as it would be, I won't be standing next to Jenna tonight translating along when she chants from the Torah. Sorry about that. I hope you weren't expecting it. Okay, good. But the elimination of this practice was not without its benefits. Most especially because, let's just say, the Torah contains some PG-13 plus content. And indeed, back in the days of the Meturgaman, the rabbis did, in fact, discuss whether there were some passages in the Torah that were best left untranslated in shul. Which is to say that somehow they thought that it would go unnoticed if the Torah reader just went on while the Meturgaman just stood there. One of these potentially problematic passages is found in this week's Torah portion, the story of the golden calf. In the Talmud, the rabbis actually talk about two tellings of this tale. The first is the Torah's third-person narrative. Moses is taking too long receiving the Torah atop Mount Sinai, and the children of Israel start to get nervous. So they gather against Moses' brother Aaron and demand that he make them a god. Fearing for his life, Aaron instructs the assembled mob to bring them all of their gold, and amazingly, they go along with this plan. And Aaron takes all of this gold and molds it into a molten calf. which the people then worship. Now, we recall from the Ten Commandments that idolatry is one of God's big no-nos. And needless to say, God is displeased. But ultimately, thanks to an intercession by Moses, God pardons the children of Israel for this gravest of sins. Hearing this first account of the golden calf, we can imagine why the rabbis were concerned about allowing it to be translated in the public context of synagogue. Let's be real, it wasn't exactly the best look for our ancestors. But ultimately, our sages concluded that this story should indeed be translated, because they hoped that the shame that we felt about our ancestors' iniquities would compel us to pursue atonement ourselves. Ergo, the first telling of the golden calf was fair game for the Meturgamon. But what of the second telling? Well, that comes a few verses later when Moses confronts Aaron about Aaron's role in this sordid affair. And it is Aaron's recapitulation of these events that the Talmud tells us we should not translate in shul. Fortunately, I like to break rules. And this is my renegade Meturgamon moment. Vayomer Aharon, and Aaron said, "Let not my Lord be enraged. You know that this people is bent on evil. They said to me, 'Make us a god to lead us for that fellow Moses. We don't know what happened to him.' So I said to them, 'Whoever has gold, take it off.' And they gave it to me, and I hurled it into the fire, and out came this calf." So, now that we've heard what we weren't supposed to hear, we're left with a question. What is so offensive about this passage that our sages deemed it necessary to censor it? The medieval commentators have two different takes. Rashi thinks that the rabbis were worried about heresy. He observes that as Aaron tells it, he threw the gold into the fire, and magically, this golden calf just got up and walked out. The problem is the magically got up and walked out part. Idols don't do that. So Rashi argues that the passage was left untranslated lest an undiscerning congregation actually believe Aaron's, shall we say, posterior protecting version of these events. Rashi's students, the Tosafists, suggest that we can do better. They say, how about we give Aaron a break? Everyone knows that Aaron made the golden calf. It's the Torah's worst kept secret because it isn't a secret. One account of this sin is enough. We don't need to. So we don't translate the second in order to protect Aaron's honor. We veil the truth to preserve his dignity. Interestingly, the Tosafist's reasoning is actually in keeping with what we know about Aaron himself. Our tradition teaches that Aaron was a rodef shalom, a pursuer of peace. According to a midrash, whenever two people were in a quarrel, Aaron would go to one of them and say, "Your friend is so upset. He just can't believe this horrible thing that he did to you." Then he would go to the other guy and say, "Your friend is so upset. He just can't believe this horrible thing that he did to you." And what do you know? The next time the two friends saw each other, they kissed and made up. In the pursuit of peace, Aaron dispensed with the ideal of the whole truth. He didn't lie. He just left a few things out. He emphasized a different part of the story. There's another story in the Talmud that questions the ideal of the whole truth. Our sages ask, What does one say about a bride on her wedding day? Shammai says, even if her hair is on fire, we tell it like it is. Hillel says, every bride is beautiful on her wedding day. We don't lie, but our tradition teaches that when it comes to things that matter to us, like peace and love, like honor and dignity, we don't always need to tell the whole truth. There's another set of verses in the Torah that fascinatingly, the Talmud tells us not to translate in shul. These verses were also spoken by Aaron. They are the Birkat Kohanim, the priestly blessing. Speak to Aaron and his sons, thus shall you bless the people of Israel. Say to them, Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'yichuneka. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. To this day, we honor Aaron every time we offer this benediction. Yet, like Aaron's retelling of the golden calf, in ancient synagogues, when the Torah reader arrived at these verses, the Meturgamon would remain silent. What do we learn from this silence? We learn that words of blessing transcend the whole truth. We don't lie. We shouldn't lie. But we can offer blessings by omission. When it comes to the pursuit of peace and the preservation of dignity, our tradition teaches that we don't need the whole truth. We can emphasize a different part of the story, or we can let the holy language speak for itself. Shabbat Shalom.
On this President's Day weekend, we open ourselves to gratitude for the leadership throughout the years, generations of this country. And tonight at Central, we are filled with gratitude as we honor our former presidents of this congregation who have led us from strength to strength. Tonight, I'm happy to call up, and honored to call up our former presidents who are here with us, Kenny Heitner, Howard Sharfstein, and David Edelson. Please come up to the Bima for an Aliyah. And as they do, you can follow the Torah reading on page 658 of your Torah commentary. It's the book that says the Torah on it. We're starting with chapter 34, verse 4.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Asher Bachar Banu Mikol Ha'amim V'natan Lanu Et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Notein HaTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Vayifsol Shnei luchot avanim karishonim V'yashkem Moshe v'aboker v'ya'al el har Sinai ka'asher tziva Adonai oto v'yikach be'ado shnei luchot avanim v'yered Adonai be'anan v'yityatzeiv imo sham v'yikra v'shem Adonai v'ya'avor Adonai al panav v'yikra Adonai, Adonai, El Rachum v'Chanun, Erech Apayim v'Rav Chesed v'Emet, Notzer Chesed l'olafim, Noseh Avon v'Fesha v'Chata'a, V'Naker lo Yinaker, Poked Avon Avot, Al Banim ve'al Bnei Banim, Al Shileshim ve'al Ribeim.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'chayei olam nata b'stochenu. Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah.
Amen. David, Howard, and Kenny, thank you so much, not only for being here with us tonight to make this Shabbat that much more sweet and special, but for your years of leadership, for all that you have done for this congregation and all that you continue to do. Thank you for bringing Central from strength to strength. Our gratitude is owed to you.
Thank you.
We now rise as we give honor to the Torah.
וזאת התורה אשר שם משה לפני בני ישראל. אבי אדוני ביד משה.
Standing for Aleinu Leshabeach on page 282.
Aleinu Leshabeach ladon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ. ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא, יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד, ושמו אחד, ושמו
Please be seated.
ויתקדש שמי רבה.
Our thoughts now turn to those dear ones who are no longer with us in body, but who are eternally with us in spirit. The Central Synagogue community is mourning the passing in recent days, the period of Shloshim, for Frederick Richard Adler, father of Barbara, James, Susan, Elizabeth, Chris, and Freddie; Jerome Blum, father of John; Jane Disson, sister of Robin Aufsis and Mark, mother of Daniel. Robert Israf, husband of Donna, father of Michael and Stacy Ehrenstein. Alexandra Sasha Markovska, mother of Venny. Roberta Bobby Palmer, mother of Shelley and Jason. Albert Parisi, brother of Len, Joseph, and Ronald. Sherman Pessin, father of Janet, Rita, George, and Greta. Alice Blumberg Rubin, sister of Larry Blumberg. Howard Schafferman, father of Joel. Linda Snedeker, wife of Arnold, mother of Jody Zotkow, Lisa, and Stacy. Abraham Samuel Wolfish, father of Andrew Wallach. And Theodore Weinberg, father of Blake Vogel. At Central Synagogue, we name as our own those members of the American Armed Forces who died in service to their country this past week. We are grateful to have no names to share. We do, however, have 3 names from civilian deaths and mass shootings: Shatifa Lobley, Ricky Braggs, and Brandon Anderson. We recall at this time those who death has taken at this season and years past, members of our community observing yahrzeits this Shabbat, for Jeffrey Alpert, Judith Auerbach, Joseph Ballinger, Clara Ballett, Cy Baum, Arnold Beckold, Sarah Saskenberger, Joseph Berman, Max Botten, Francis Bricker, Samuel Chapman, Isidore Clayman, Howard Cohen, Mickey Cohen, Arlene Delado, Moreno Finaro, George Fink, Edna Frosch, Frida Furman, Annette C. Gelber, Louis Gelman, Saul Geltman, Hanan Golan, Nancy Golib, Frida Goodman, Diana Greenwald, Admin Grunfeld, Evelyn Gurney, Jerome Heller, Leonard Kamsky, Stanley J. Kaiser, Jerome Kirschner, Menhard Klein, Esther Kadatsky, Rose Langdon, Mildred Lewis, Diane Lidskin, Stanford Masson, Morton Maxwell, Elsie Mogan, Harvey Needleman, Eleanor Nelson, Bernard Oppenheim, Sophie Perkins, Sidney Perlstadt, Fred Pomerantz, Judith Rackmill, Jeannie Robinson, Sheila Rosenblatt, Martin Rosner, Elise Rothschild, Irving Schechter, Rose Schechter, Julius Schonhout, Dana Schaefer, Milton Shapiro, Brendan Siegel, George Skloot, Elsie Sloat, Leona Sonic, David Sofer, Abraham Soren, Emily Spiegel, Phyllis Stein, Elizabeth Steingart, Arthur Sturman, Rochelle Solman, Marcia Swig, Rabbi Samuel Volkman, Frank Weiss, Andrew Windman, Harold Wolk, and Eileen Zimmerman. If you are in the period of Shiva, the first 7 days of mourning someone dear to you, we invite you to rise at this time. If you are in the period of Shloshim, the first 30 days, we invite you to rise at this time. If you are in the period of Shana, the first year, we invite you to rise. And if you're joining us to observe a yahrzeit this Shabbat, we invite you to rise. Zichronam livracha. May their memories ever be for a blessing. We rise to join the mourners in the words of Kadisha Tom on page 294. Yitgadal v'yikadash shemei rabbah, ve'alma divrach yiruteh ve'amlich malchuteh, v'chaychon v'yomechon v'chayeh d'chol beit Yisrael, ba'gala v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mevarach le'olam u'lamei almaya, Yibarach v'yishtabach v'yita'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei kudusha brichu, le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tu shvechata v'nechamata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shamaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mramav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen.
Say shalom b'mrumav, say shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael,
Shabbat Shalom.
Shalom.
Our confirmation students are on their confirmation trip this weekend over the Shabbat in Charleston and Savannah. So you're stuck with me for the announcements this evening. So we hope that you will join us tomorrow morning for our Mishkan services in person at 9:30 a.m. You are also welcome to join us virtually. And there are two special... You leading? It's going to be so much fun. There are two special programs that are coming up that we want to be sure to flag for you. So the first is on Tuesday, February 22nd, where our very own Rabbi Hilly Haber is joined by Reverend George T. Chochos and Sister Helen Prejean to discuss how religion inspires their work in the prison reform sector. And then on February 24th, Abby Pogrebin is joined by Representative Jamie Raskin to discuss his compelling new memoir, Unthinkable. To register for these events and more, please go to our website. We are now about to turn to Kiddush, which can be found on page 5.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava u'ratzon hinchilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reshit ki hu yom techila lemikra'e kodesh zecher litziat mitzrayim Kivanu v'acharta ve'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim v'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava u'ratzon hinchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh HaShabbat. Amen. And don't worry, they don't fill it all the way. But this has all the carbs. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. We'll close with a song of peace, Od Yavo Shalom. Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu.
Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu ve'al kulam. Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu ve'al kulam. Salam Aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam. Salam Shalom. Salam Aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam. Salam Shalom. Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu ve'al kulam. Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu ve'al kulam.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.